I was born into a life of plenty. My father was a powerful noble in the city of Waterdeep. I never wanted for anything. Yet something was always lacking. It always felt unfair to me that I had so much when others had nothing at all. Was that what drew me to Ilmater in the first place? I don't know, but I heard his call nonetheless. My parents did not really understand, so I ran away from home as soon as I could. I left behind the family name of Tillwater. I could never ignore the call of my god, even if I'd wished it, if I'm honest. First I took my vows and training in the city of Neverwinter, and then I went north. It's hard to live out here. People have so very little, but I feel that makes them more grateful for what they do have. My path somehow led me to Easthaven, and it's here I've made my home. 20 years I've done my best to offer whatever aid I can to travellers who come through here, and of course those who live here. I feel though, after a time, I felt nothing would ever really change. Roman proved me wrong. When he came, something did change. I'm not really sure what it was, but I feel happier now than I ever have. Is this wrong? Should I not already have been happy with what I had without him? I don't know. But I do know one thing. His absence worries me. Please, please, Roman, return soon. I fear something terrible will happen if you don't. This is Red Moon role-playing. The cranking and clinking of metal gears and chains continues as this large iron gateway continues to rise. Behind it is a portcullis. Behind the portcullis are 10 armed warriors. Their armour a mixture of black, grey and blue, form-fitting, efficient, but with no adornment or anything showing any signs of ranking or anything like that, although there must be something that they can see. They are all reasonably short, dwarf-sized, in fact, for they are, you immediately recognise, Duergar. Grey beards of different styles, a sort of pale pallor to the skin, their eyes a solid white or blue for the most part. Standing there in formation, 10 with crossbows aimed at the pair of you. But, Roshik, your instinct, why have they not fired immediately? Why have they opened the gate? This is strange. You almost feel ready for battle, but they're not firing, and the fact that they're not firing, why wouldn't they fire if they wanted to immediately harm you? Instead, there is silence for a moment before one of them steps forward. He's wearing a helmet. You can't quite see his face, but maybe he is a commander of some kind then. You notice this, Roshik, as he looks out and says, "State your business."
Sorry, wrong house, I say, and I look at Roman with a bit of a doubt.
We've been sent from Easthaven. We come in peace. We're not here to raid or steal or anything like that. We've come to find out. Well, we're following a map, you see. A map that leads here. We think it might have something to do with the darkness and everything that's been happening recently.
An individual next to the one with the helmet, with a sort of scar down one of his eyes, comes forward. "In the name of the Sunblight clan, you will lay down your weapons at once. You will surrender and report before the king." The one in the helmet raises his hand. "From Easthaven, tell me truthfully, are you here as a friend of the king or a foe?" Would you like to roll insight, Roman? And Roshik as well.
18 plus 6, 24.
15.
Roshik, something is happening here. The individual's ready to come out and arrest you, and that would make sense if you are at the entrance to a fortress, but then this other one is calmly asking you a question. Something is happening here, but you're not quite sure what. Roman, he's asking you a very odd question. Friend or foe? You think the answer might heavily alter things, and it might not be the answer you think you'd normally say. After all, what do you know about this? A fortress? Did he mention the king? This is the king's fortress. You're pretty sure this king has very unpleasant plans. But then, do you say foe? Surely that would be insane. Unless it wasn't. What do you do?
We are on the same side as you.
The figure in the helmet tilts his head. The same side as we? Are you sure?
Well, we don't want any trouble with anyone here. We're with you.
There's a silence for a moment. Commander, open the gate and begin arresting them! What on earth are you doing? And then, what do you say to that, Roman?
We are all foes of the king, are we not?
At this, the figure with the scarred face begins taking out an axe. Foes of the king, they have said it themselves! You will die in the name of... And you hear a clicking sound. Roshik, you were a bit closer. You think you just heard a crossbow bolt go off. You immediately, instinctively, look at yourself. You're fine. They haven't fired at you. Someone fired at... Suddenly there's an 11th figure. They just appear. As if they were there all along, but you couldn't see them. The Duergar with the scarred face sort of clutches at his throat and falls to the ground. You notice that none of the others seem to be alarmed by this at all. What do you do, Roman and Roshik?
Well, with that out of the way, maybe come in.
You hear this commander whistle. The gates, the portcullis begins to rise. These remaining Duergar begin slowly coming out, their crossbows still pointed at you. You are indeed going to come in. Lower your weapons. Do not make a sound. Come in. If you resist, you will die. How does that sound?
That sounds perfectly acceptable. We come in peace. You have nothing to fear from us.
He snorts a little, remarking, We definitely never had anything to fear from you. If I had wished it, you all would already be dead.
I'm sure you're right about that, I say and smile.
I let my quarterstaff disintegrate in a little shower of purple sparks. I don't feel that I have so much to say. This was an interesting exchange. And I look at Roman and I say, yeah, foes of the king indeed.
I sort of open my eyes and just kind of look like, what just happened? But then I try to go back to looking like everything is under control.
Yes, again, your insight paid off. Foe was the correct answer, although, why do you think that was, as these individuals start surrounding you, but not moving into attack, just surrounding you? What's going through your mind, Roman?
Now, there's clearly something going on here. There's some kind of conflict. And, well, what I do know about Duergar indicates that, of course, their loyalties can quickly change, and the way he asked it made it seem as if there might be some kind of civil war, perhaps, happening among these Duergar. I don't know, it was a gamble, but it seems to have paid off.
Roshik, how do you feel as you're now being escorted past this great gate? It's a bit unnerving having so many crossbows on you, but again, they're not attacking.
At the same time, it is strangely refreshing to be in such a different situation with such different beings all around, and suddenly strange dramas, and suddenly the one who is the king and being plotted against is not me. And that does feel pretty good. I try to see if there's any room for conversation to ask about their thoughts of Dearth's recent actions, for example.
The second you try and ask one a question, he ignores you. You are being told to come forward.
I just move along and pretend as if there's nothing going on.
You are led past the portcullis and the gate. Already the clanking recommences and you hear once again, this time, your exit closing. Darkness comes upon you. It takes you a moment to adjust both of your eyes, although do you have dark vision, Roshik?
Yeah, dark vision, 60 feet.
You adjust quickly. Roman, you don't as much. It's almost like these tunnels you're being led into are completely dark, but they're not. You think you can just about see a little bit of some sort of reddish light coming from somewhere. You, Roshik, on the other hand, these are dark tunnels, but you can see. And your companions can see as well. You are led past that great entrance, already now shut tight. The hallways are straight, grey, perfectly hewn from the rock, but with no element of artistry or comfort. It is purely efficient that the tunnels are this size and shape. Again, minimal light. You imagine, Roman, it's because Duergar have dark vision and don't need light unless it's absolutely essential. You also notice as you go by the sound of more Duergar to your left. You think you see a barracks. You start thinking to yourself, Roshik, that this would have been a truly impenetrable barrier. You don't know how you would have got past this if you hadn't just been let in. They could have held that gate for some time with this many individuals, but you are being led past them through a tunnel. Silence. No one is saying a word, but you can hear in the distance some sort of clang, clang noise, and you can smell on the air the smell of smoke. How are we feeling, Roman?
Don't know what we've gotten ourselves into here. Duergar are not particularly friendly to us surface dwellers. Now we are completely... well, they have control here. Have to play this cool and calmly. Maybe there's a chance for us to get out of this. We just have to find out which faction, if there are such things here, to align ourselves with. Make ourselves useful.
I try to resist the urge of doing something foolish. This playfulness that has come over me, I don't know where it comes from. It's like I'm full of a sense of mischievousness. And I almost want to hum to myself. I don't know how to handle it. So I walk kind of rigidly, keeping bands on myself, and often cast glances around me, the barracks, at the stern-looking Duergar and at Roman.
And finally, you are led past a few doorways. To your right, you think you hear the sound again of something mechanical, something moving, but you can't quite see. To your left, two large doors. The commander goes forth to open these doors. They open with a slow grinding sound. You see beyond a hall. 3 braziers, heaped with glowing hot coals, illuminate and heat this long hall. At the eastern end is a hexagonal stone table surrounded by 6 stone chairs. Seated in the chair facing the door as you come in is a haggard old Duergar with long black hair streaked with ribbons of white and fingernails like shards of iron. She is devouring a hearty buffet of cooked meats, mushrooms, and some other things you can't quite identify. There are also several other Duergar in this room who all stand to attention as you come in. The helmed individual gestures to the chairs.
I follow the instruction and I move to sit down.
Is it warm in here, or is it like the outside?
There is some heat in here, yes. Coming from, you think, looking to the left of the table you're sitting at. There seems to be some cooking fires. This must be some sort of food hall. There's a lot of food on the table as you sit.
I start removing some of the furs, just because I feel how it's warming up, and then I nod to whoever I would happen to lock eyes with and sit down.
There is nothing but silence for a bit. All the Duergar behind you go to the doors. If you were to try and escape, it would be very difficult. And again, there are Duergar stationed at all corners. But this female Duergar, elderly looking, long-haired, sort of just helps herself to some broth, and then looks at the pair of you. Well, isn't this an amusing coincidence? Two little travellers deciding to knock on the door of a grand fortress. Isn't that an amusing little coincidence, don't you think?
It is indeed amusing, and a great pleasure, of course, to make your acquaintance. We are from East Haven.
It is a great pleasure indeed, and such an honor. Who might we have the honor of addressing?
You have the pleasure of addressing the great queen, Grandolpha Musgart, of the Musgart clan. Don't worry. I assume surface dwellers such as yourself have no idea of the clans.
No, but we are very eager and happy to learn. We would like to establish good relations between our people. We can achieve a lot together.
She looks at some of the guards. Do you hear that? These two little travellers have come here to make good negotiations with me. She starts to chuckle very roughly. No one else joins her on the laughter, though.
I join a bit.
Eat! Eat! Help yourself! She shoves a plate of something. It looks fleshy and brain-like. What do you do?
I feel like I'm suddenly in a situation that feels familiar. A nobility feeding ritual and talks and things that, as of late, well, the last few years, been somewhat more common to me. I've had to adjust my old rough ways to negotiate, to make demands, and find my ways through situations that required a completely different skill set than I was used to using. Now, my senses tense, and I put on my most accommodating exterior, though trying to match whatever I think would be culturally appropriate as I start helping myself to these generously offered dishes.
The thing in front of you is very fleshy, and there's some sort of salt on it. It's like an ashy salt. You feel like you're eating a little bit of sulphur from a fire. It's a bit not very pleasant, to be honest.
I carefully, trying to be discreet, use my prestidigitation cantrip to flavour it in a more accommodating way.
You see the eyes of this Duergar flick to you a little. Just as you see a little shimmer of food changing ever so slightly, she snorts. Ah, my food not good enough for you.
Oh, it is exceptionally good. It's just this certain ashen flavour is new to me, of course, and so I will have to compensate a little bit in something you would surely think disgusting. I apologise.
Well, they do say surface dwellers have no taste. Very well, help yourself to some of our brew. She pushes forward some flagons. She makes a little click sound, and one of the Duergar quickly come forward and very efficiently pour some sort of greyish-looking ale into the cups.
To a great meeting of new friends, I say, and I lift the flagon.
She looks at you and smirks. Listen, my dear boy, let's get to the point and be blunt about it. I don't care a flying sod about your little towns of pathetic surface dwellers. I don't care about you. In fact, if you stop being amusing, I'm going to order my guards to execute you. So let us talk plainly, and enough of friends and toasts. I don't have time for surface dweller civility.
I lean back at that and stop being nice and think to myself, well, maybe a bit of gruffness is better. And I just have myself a chug of the brew.
Tastes like mushrooms. A sort of mushroom ale. It's not bad, it's quite strong.
Well, we are here because we have found a map that points to this location. We think it may have something to do with, well, the recent darkness and everything that's going wrong on the surface. I'm sure it doesn't affect you so much, but for us it is quite bad, and we are trying to find any and all ways of, well, solving that situation. The map seemed to indicate that something important would be here, so we came.
Well, you're only mostly wrong. Naturally, this fortress has nothing to do with your little surface problem. However, the great beast heading to your towns right now to destroy them utterly, I imagine might be a pressing concern for you, no?
Yes, it is. We have to get back there. I don't think we can catch up with it.
You can't, no.
Then what is it you want? Can we offer something in return to stop you from committing to such an action, or are you somehow calling it back?
I'm afraid, my dear, that I cannot call it back. It will only be called back when it succeeds at its predefined flight path, or you destroy it, which you might be able to do if you know where it's going, I suppose, but good luck with that. No, here's the situation. You came here, why? To investigate, yes? You were hoping to achieve what exactly? What you said? Find out little things? Very good, all meaningless. But don't worry, you can have a use. The king. What did you intend to do about him? You already, we believe, have captured some of his children. That's how you got the map, yes? How much did they squeal?
Well, His Royal Highness Dearth himself, he didn't want to talk too much at all. So, I hope he wasn't too much of a friend of yours.
No.
Oh, he met his end there, I'm afraid.
Oh dear, poor him. Well, we knew that, or at least we knew he'd been captured. His brother's here, actually. I believe the king is at the moment beating him down below. Dear me, it does seem as if you two know absolutely nothing at all. I'm going to have to play teacher. How tiresome. Let's put it this way. Your little 10 towns are doomed. There is no hope for any of you. Unless you do something about it. Tell me, what would you be willing to do to save your pathetic little hovels?
To save our friends, our families, and the towns where we live? Anything.
Good. Finally, you're beginning to talk sense. You must understand that you destroying this fortress and destroying both the guardsmen of myself and, of course, King Zardaruk Sunblight is impossible, yes? You can't just come in and raid us. By the time you even get halfway through the fortress with a big army, which something tells me you don't have, well, I have a feeling that your 10 towns are going to be smouldering piles of ruin.
Well, there's... What do you suggest we do then? What is your offer?
My offer is simple. I want you to kill the king. Now you tell me how you're going to do that. I don't want to do everything for you.
Well, you said he's down below. Now, punishing someone who made a mistake?
Yes, he believes his other son, clearly who came back from a failed raiding, they were attacked in some manner. Naturally, he believes, of course, it's all a scheme, that he did this to undermine the cause of the king, to get his brother out of the picture so that he would be in line for succession. I highly doubt that Nildar would be capable of such a scheme, but currently the king, well, he's not exactly thinking clearly.
I lean forward, clasping my hands. And people that he keeps near, they are loyal to him?
Several are very loyal. However, she gestures around the room. My people have positioned themselves. We are ready, when necessary, to take action, and absorb the Sunblight clan into my own. Of course, I was still waiting for the right moment. Not in a rush. But today, here you come, 2 travelers. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yes. Why don't you bring us to him as prisoners you have captured, and then, when the moment is right, we escape from our bonds, let's say, and accidentally the king ends up dead. Of course, it is all the surface dwellers' fault. And then you let us escape.
Well, I can't be letting you escape easily. It'll be on my permission that you're allowed to leave. However, I do approve of this plan, you attacking him. I advise you do something a little more clever than just suddenly lunge at him. Maybe a jewel or something, intelligent. You are capable of intelligent thought, aren't you? You both seem a little dim.
Are there moments that he is more isolated? Let's say if he came to, I don't know, if we were brought to either a more private place, or does he come to the dungeons that you would have himself, ever?
He does, but I feel your best chance of striking publicly will be in his throne room. You want it to be public, you understand. You need to show that he is weakened. Most of us have come to realize this. I'm assuming, by the way, that you're making the assumption that all Duergar just randomly betray each other all the time. Right?
You like intrigue. That's what we hear.
Of course, an idiotic surface dwellers of you. We do not like intrigue. We do not like betrayal. They are often irritating. However, when the greater good is required, and someone is not worthy of their position, then it is for all that we make our moves. In this case, you must understand, I care not about your little towns and your little people. The issue is that Zardarok does. He has been blinded by that goddamn Chardalin that he so loves, thinking that making a kingdom on the ruins of yours is beneficial for us. Clearly, lunacy.
That is lunacy, yes.
Yeah, why would he want to spread to such a place, considering your normal way of living like you do in the mountains underground?
Firstly, his priest pours poison in his ear, convincing him he is the chosen of Deep Dura. I assure you, my own priests say nothing of the sort. Second, the Chardalin. He loves it, he thinks it's amazing, and it is amusing, except for the whole poisoning your mind element.
You mentioned a duel. Is this a common way among you to challenge to a duel?
Yes. Challenge him. Say he is not worthy of the throne, right in front of everyone. He will have to accept. Now keep in mind, if he starts losing, of course he'll call his men upon you, but I will make sure that all my people are in place. One more thing, if things go wrong, I will let you die, just so you know. I don't care about your lives, so don't think I'll suddenly come and help you. You will have to do it yourself, yes?
Well, that is certainly fair.
Is he a capable fighter?
Extremely.
Does he have a weakness?
No, other than his mind currently beginning to rot with all the pretty stone he thinks he has in his possession. The Chardalin. I don't need to tell you what Chardalin is, do I?
No, we're aware of Chardalin. We know what it is. And how much you want it.
Well, no. How much he wants it, darling. I just explained. It rots the brain. It's completely useless. It's an amusing thing, I'll admit it. His beast made of Chardalin is quite impressive. You did see it on its way out, didn't you?
Is that what that flying thing is made of?
Yes, it's not a real dragon.
Chardalin dragon. Huh.
So we do this, we challenge him to fight the two of us. I suppose he'll have some sort of consort on his side. And then we try to make use of his weak mind somehow?
Yes, possibly. You do that. My people will move in on his death. We will take over the fortress. And while I can't stop the dragon, I'll let you in his room. You can see the flight plan. Might help you a little, knowing where it's actually going. And then you can leave. I'll also order the Duergar standing by to attack the villages to retreat. No need for them to waste their lives.
No, of course. That would be fantastic. That would be good for all of us. Win-win.
Yes, well, win-win for me mainly. I don't really know what good you lot are going to do. After all, if that winter of yours keeps going, you're all going to die anyway, you know.
Do you know anything what's causing it?
No, I don't care.
Well, life is a terminal condition for us all. It's all about when. And don't worry about us, we'll find a way. But thank you. I think we know what to do now.
At least chances will increase if that flying thing, stops its way. I suppose we don't have too much time to spare then.
No, you really don't.
Well, off to the king then.
Indeed. So, my guard will take you to him, again, under arrest. Again, they are not going to aid you, so do not expect it. You are here to be a useful tool to me. That is why I am allowing you to do all this, you understand, yes?
Oh, perfectly. Crystal clear.
Wonderful. You're actually quite practical. I was worried you'd pull some sort of surface dweller. Oh, isn't this all unpleasant? That sort of thing.
It's very pleasant indeed. I just hope that we can make further use of each other after it's all done and you don't feel an urgent need to dispose of us.
Unlikely. I'll let you go. I'll close the gates, and if any of you ever come here again, next time, the guards will just shoot you.
Well, you can also keep us as eyes on the surface if you like, but I'm sure you have capable spies.
I don't need to spy. Are you not getting it, my dear boy? Spy on your little hovels. Oh no, look at the surface dwellers in their hovels starving to death. How terrifying. You don't know anything about the Battlehammer clan anyway. We'll be dealing with them from below. The Battlehammer clan, Roman, you know, is the dwarvish clan that rests under Kelvin's Khan.
Ah, the dwarves. Yes, you don't like each other much, do you?
No, again, from below we will find a way. Zardarok's plan was to attack from above after destroying your little kingdom. And again, why go above when you can go from below? So many wasteful things. It's a shame, really, because when he approached me for marriage, I was considering it. He was. This is an impressive fortress, after all, but it'd be much better in my hands.
Oh, we fully agree.
Good. Very well, then. Off with you. I really do hope you actually are useful, otherwise this will delay my plans by a few days, which will be inconvenient for me. I'm glad did you enjoy the ale? It's my specialty.
I did not feel the need to spice it.
Good. My clan specialize in the ale. It's famous all the way back in Grackelstuck.
Roman, I lean over. We probably have an hour, maybe two, at tops. If it's gonna fly at that speed.
Yes, at most. It might already be there. We should hurry.
She claps her hands, and once again the guards come forward. The guard with the helmet says, "Make sure your weapons are lowered. I am going to bind you now, but the binds will not be strong. Understand? Do not ask questions, do not look around suspiciously, do nothing that we do not say to do."
Then how will we challenge him?
I will bring you before him, throw you on the ground. From there it'll be up to you.
I nod.
I'll let them do what they need to.
They attach bonds to your arms, but again you can feel. They can be shaken off quite easily. You are then marched out of the room. You go back to that place where you heard something mechanical happening from before. This time you go into this chamber. You see before you what looks like some sort of lift. A gigantic iron construction, sort of moving slowly up in a controlled manner. By the lift is a great lever, and by that you see a very strange sight. You see a Duergar, but he's in some sort of metallic suit. One of its hands is instead a large hammer, and one of the others a grapple. He also, at the back of his skull, has some sort of spike driven into the back of his skull. It looks at you, this Duergar, and this thing, sort of mouthing something to the commander in a sort of pained grunt. And then the commander just nods at it as the figure goes to move the lever, almost mechanically. As he does so, again, you could just hear him sort of in pain. What do you think as the lift comes into view and you just look at this strange individual operating it?
I feel pity.
I just watch him, and I have to restrain myself from grimacing. He seems to be in a bit of a hell himself.
You enter this lift. The being grimaces in pain as the lever is moved and you begin to descend. Down you go. Chug, 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 deeper down. 2 or 3 minutes pass before finally the lift stops. You must now be below the surface, although maybe not so below the surface to be actually underground. These mountains, of course, are elevated, but you are deep now within the mountain, you think to yourself, Roman. You emerge from the lift. There is another being just like the one above, again grimacing in pain as it works the lever. You then begin being led forwards. As you are led forwards, you come to a bridge made of stone. On either side, you see a great sight, the opening of this fortress. To the left, you see several large tunnels, and Duergar with axes and pitchforks, sort of moving around, hauling ore on metal mine carts. It looks like some sort of great mine structure. To the right, you see the cause of all this smoke that is now thick in the air. A great forge, fiery with hot liquid magma, belching forth smoke. You see many Duergar working away at the forge, constructing things. But you can't quite see what they're constructing from this vantage point. You also see what looks like a gigantic wooden sort of platform with lots of chains. But there's nothing currently there. But maybe something was there just recently. Something very large. What are you thinking as you see the great sights of this mighty fortress forge and mine?
They built that creature here, is that it? This was certainly where it was resting, I say to Roshik with a very, very low voice.
I nod in agreement. Yeah, if it was made out of this material, yeah, they probably constructed it themselves and somehow brought it to life using magic.
Maybe the Charlatan just came alive. Something really, well, demonic about that material.
And that's why they want more of it. Maybe to keep building this thing.
Perhaps. Imagine what they could do if they had more.
I wonder how it is destroyed.
I don't know. I hope we don't have to do that. I hope we can make it turn around.
I snapped to as I realized we were not supposed to speak or do anything or look too comfortable, and I cast my head down as if I'm beaten.
Again, there's a little bit of a look your direction, but otherwise, everything is efficient. You hear not a single sound of any chatter or silliness or anything of the sort. Everyone is moving efficiently, doing their jobs, doing their tasks, either without any problems or those beings in the weird suits who do let out occasional groans of pain, but otherwise still work. You are led to a great door, and this leads you into a large hallway. The guards begin fanning out a little as you are led forward just by this commander. A great hall awaits you, the ceiling arching to the height of 30 feet above you. Stone steps lead to a semicircular dais. Atop the dais is a misshapen throne crudely carved out of black crystal, or, you're pretty sure, Roman, chatelaine. In front of this throne is a towering figure, or at least he would be towering, but to you too, he is still reasonably short. Great thick white beard, a crown made of black chatelaine upon his head, spiked, but some of the spikes are broken for some reason. The figure is clad in armour and has a thick gauntlet, again made of black chatelaine, on one hand spiked, but the other hand is free, as he is striking at a fellow Duergar, a younger looking Duergar, bearded, with some armour but not nearly as resplendent as this figure striking him. As you enter the room, you hear sounds of, well, a one-sided argument, you think to yourself. "Ah, Nildar! So clever! Very clever, but not clever enough! Father, you must understand!" He strikes this Duergar to the ground. The figure on the ground sort of just takes it. I understand full well, my little son. You thought you were the last, and then, when the moment was right, the knife would come from behind, but instead you made the fatal error of trying to explain yourself to me in person. A foolish error. Now, instead, I will simply dip you into the magma forge, and once again, none will be in place to challenge me. Ah! What is this? The figure leading you in bows. "I have found 2 intruders, my king. I have brought them to you for judgment." "Ah! Intruders! Let me guess, Nildar. You're assassins! Well, they're not very good assassins, are they?" The being, apparently called Nildar, just sort of looks at you with little confusion. You are poked forwards. What do? You are before this being, in his throne room.
I look up. We have come from the surface. Rumors of the weak Duergar king has reached us. We are here to challenge you to a duel.
And the Sunblight's blood is weak, Dearth is dead, and he left behind a map that led us straight to you.
Yes, prove that you are not as weak as he was. Accept our challenge.
He steps forward, begins to laugh. A loud, slightly deranged sounding laugh. "Anilda, what did you pay them to say? Assassins! I will spare you a short while if you tell the truth. None of this ridiculous lies. Tell us how you were hired by my son to come and slay me so he could take my throne. None of this ridiculous charade of coming scouts. What? No. Now tell me the truth and I will be merciful, I promise."
We're waiting for you to stop being a coward and accept our challenge. You aren't weak, are you?
You address King Zardarok Sunblight in his throne room, assassins. You are at my mercy. I find it amusing that you seem to care so little for your lives.
Well, your sons seem meeker than you are. It says lots about your blood. You must be growing weak as well. How you ever managed to claim a crown is beyond me.
He steps forward again, flexing this giant gauntlet on his hand. "How did I become a king, you ask, assassin? Quite simple. I led my clan to glory. I carved this entire fortress from my very bare hands, and I have slain my other children who have tried to take the throne from me. I was simply remiss in these last 2, but as you can see, I only have 1 left of my original 6, and, well, his assassins are not making his case very good for him. You see, by the way, the one called Nilda looking at you, quite enraged himself when you start mentioning things about how he is weak, but he doesn't do anything.
Is he armed with anything, or is he incapable of fighting himself?
The one on the ground currently is disarmed. He has some armor on, but that's about it. He looks like he's been beaten quite savagely. Very recently, in fact.
I quickly try to evaluate if he would be someone to join the fight on our side. But perhaps he's too beaten up to try and fight himself.
Roll me an insight check.
That's 9.
Surely, yes, he'd help you, right? His father's beating him up, and Duergar all want to just betray each other all the time, right? That's what Roman was saying, and yes, surely he'll come and try and backstab him or something while you're fighting. That seems very logical to you. I mean, you don't know how he'll do it, but yeah, he'll definitely help you.
I smirk to myself, having come to this realization, and then I look over to Roman, who so quickly was leading us into this duel track.
Are you ready?
I don't think he has the guts to accept.
Well, he will have no choice. And I begin loosening the bonds.
He takes a step back. You see all the guards in the room begin reaching for their weapons, but he does hold a hand up. Ah, the assassins have loosened from the bonds. Is it how you do it? You claim to want to duel, but you are going to attack me. I don't even have a weapon.
Go grab one then. We're waiting.
We are not here for a cowardly fight.
No. How much gold has my son paid you? I will triple it.
So you are a coward?
Obviously.
I have important things to be attending to. There is something in motion, you stupid little assassins, that even your pathetic brains would not be able to comprehend!
What? You trying to expand your kingdom by attacking small villages?
Precisely. It is spoken by Deep Duergar. In my divine ear, the 10 towns will become a smouldering ruin. Upon them will be built the first empire of the Duergar above ground. All this is possible due to the curse the surface dwellers have brought upon themselves.
Then we would represent those surface dwellers and challenge you to see who has the right.
Is that so?
So it is. Unless you want to talk some more and tell us how we can solve the curse on the surface, or perhaps try to bribe us a little bit more. I mean, we're not going anywhere until we finish this, so if you need more time to prepare, little one, please go ahead.
Little one. Little one. He begins to grow. Slowly at first, but it happens right before your eyes. He is your height, suddenly, and then double your height, beginning to fill the chamber. The guards in the room, some of them start chuckling a little to themselves, but they all just stand back. This being is now very large. He looks down. Little one, you were saying?
And I smile at him. Are you ready?
Yes, the little assassins! I'm going to beat you with an inch of your lives, but I will not kill you. No, I will then place your bodies in the forge, and then make weapons out of your ashes.
I look at him as he grows, trying to keep my calm. I feel not as confident as Roman sounds. I haven't been in a real battle since when?
The being stands before you now, towering above you. From its hand, you then begin to notice a crackling of eldritch energy that you recognize immediately, Roshik, for it is similar to your own. You suddenly think, you realize why he doesn't seem to have a weapon. And all the guardsmen in the room begin watching as this being is before you. Before, with a cackle of energy, he laughs and vanishes from view.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostmaiden, for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. The music was created by Flowers for Body Snatchers, Ugasanye, Wordclock, and Metatron Omega, and was used with permission from their label Cryochamber. Check them out at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for more dark ambient. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, and David Hagberg for their generous support. And we would of course like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, this show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. May Lathander protect you, and fill the world with light.